In this video, we'll see how to recover persistent volume data from a destroyed EKS cluster. So losing data is one of the most stressful events for companies, but we'll see that with one simple configuration in the persistent volume, AWS will keep your data even after the cluster has been destroyed. And we will start by creating the cluster with Terraform. Okay, so the cluster has been provisioned, so I'll update my kubeconfig to point to this new cluster. Good. And now I am going to describe the storage class we have on this EKS cluster. So kubectl get sc for storage class. And we see that this EKS cluster comes with a storage class named GP2, and the provisioner of this storage class is AWS EBS for Elastic Block Service. So this means that whoever claims a volume by specifying the GPT storage class, so the volume will be provisioned in AWS EBS. Okay, so that's what we want to do in this video. We want to deploy an application that will request volume from this storage class, and we want to see how the volume is stored and how we can keep this volume after the cluster is destroyed. So in order to do that, we will deploy MongoDB, okay, and we will specify the storage class, so global.default storage class equals GP2. So right now I'm asking Helm to deploy MongoDB on a namespace named MongoDB as well, and I want him to use the storage class GP2 that we have right here in our cluster. Good, so now let's describe the PVC. And we see that we have a PVC named MongoDB, and it is bound to a volume of this name. The capacity is 8 GB and the storage class is GP2. We can describe as well the persistent volume itself, describe PV and the name of the persistent volume. And here we can see that the source is EBS, and we have here even the volume ID assigned to this EBS block store by AWS. So right now we want to check that we indeed have this volume in AWS. So I'll run the following command: AWS EC2 describe volumes. My region, I'll put my region is US East 1, and I'll filter the tags using the volume, the PVC name, and the PVC name is this one. And let's output it as YAML, for example. Good. So we see that we have one volume. Let's see the volume ID. So this is the volume ID. Let's check it's the same as the one described by the persistent volume. Indeed, we see those are the same. Okay, good. So right now we have one volume on AWS that keeps our MongoDB data. So right now let's create some data on MongoDB. And in order to do so, I will port forward the MongoDB service to my local machine, and I will connect to the DB from MongoDB Compass. Okay, good. So this is our DB. So let's create a database name. I will call it self-attack, and collection name clients. And let's add a client. So city Paris, and we'll add another document, city New York. Okay, good. So now in my MongoDB, I have some data. I have a database named Sarfatech with a bunch of clients. So I'm going to close that. And now let's ask ourselves the following question. What if someone destroyed this cluster? What will happen to this data? Will this data be saved? So currently not. Why? Because of the reclaim policy in our persistent volume. So let's describe again our persistent volume, MongoDB. So we'll open the YAML representation, and now we'll see that this persistent volume has a delete reclaim policy. So what does that mean? It means that if the deployment is deleted, if the persistent volume claim doesn't exist anymore, this persistent volume should be deleted. So instead, we will change that to retain. Okay, so the persistent volume has been edited. And now we can see the reclaim policy is retained. So what we're going to do now is that we're simply going to destroy our MongoDB as well as the cluster. Okay, let's say there's a confused developer that destroyed my cluster in my company, and we'll see that by just changing this reclaim policy, the volume on the Elastic block store will be kept. Okay, so all my infrastructure is deprovisioned, my EKS cluster is gone, and I'm curious to see if my volume is still there. So I will run the same AWS EC2 describe volume as we ran before, and we'll see if we catch the volume as before. Amazing, the volume is still there, meaning my data that was in my MongoDB persistent volume is kept. Why? Because we changed the reclaim policy. And when we change the reclaim policy to retain, even after the cluster, the whole infrastructure is unprovisioned, the EBS still keeps the data. So right now we're going to try to recover the data, to recover the MongoDB, thanks to this volume here in AWS. So we're going to recreate the cluster. So Terraform apply, auto approve. Okay, so I've reprovisioned a cluster. Let's update the kubeconfig. Good, and now let's create the namespace MongoDB. And what we're going to do is that we're going to first recreate the persistent volume and the persistent volume claim, and then we're going to deploy MongoDB, and in the deployment we're going to set a parameter that will tell MongoDB to use an existing volume claim, the one we're just going to create right now. So what we'll do is I'll call this one pv.yaml manifest of kind persistent volume named mongodb-recover-pv, and we'll see that the specification of this volume will include our volume ID, which we have currently on AWS. So I'm gonna apply this, and I'm gonna also create a persistent volume claim that will attach this volume name we've just created and request 8 GB bytes. Okay, so let's see our persistent volume. So we have our persistent volume that is currently in a bound status. So if we describe also our PVC in our MongoDB namespace, we should see that the PVC successfully bound to the volume. And yes, indeed. Okay, and now we are ready to redeploy our MongoDB application. So we will redeploy the application by running the following command. And this command is the same as the previous one we executed, but at the only different that this time we're passing this argument, persistence.existingClaim, and we're setting into the name of our PVC we've just created manually. So this argument just tells MongoDB, do not create a PVC, a new PVC, instead use one I already provided. So we'll run this command. Okay, so Mongo has been installed. The pods. Okay, and the pod is try the pod, and we see this successful AttachVolume that available. Will not see I will put the pods that availability database. DB compass. And before. So that was how to recover persistent volume data from a deleted EKS cluster. So what we've seen in this video, we've seen that when we're using the GP2 storage class, our data is backed up in AWS block store, ABS. And we've seen that if we define the reclaim policy of our persistent volume to retain, then even after the persistent volume is deleted, even after actually the whole cluster is deleted, AWS will still keep this volume stored. And we've seen how we can restore those volumes kept by AWS. And we have also introduced Pitfall for when we recover the data. We've said that we need to have a node running in the same availability zone, so the same region obviously, and also the same availability zone as the volume, otherwise the volume will fail to attach. So I hope this session has been helpful to you and hope to see you in the next video.